Okay, let's dive right in. Apple just dropped something that honestly nobody saw coming, a brand new Mac that completely rewrites the rules. This is the MacBook Neo, and we're going to break it all down for you. So on March 4th, 2026, Apple puts this number up on a screen, $599. I mean, think about that for a second. For a brand new MacBook. This isn't some holiday sale or a refurbished deal. This is the real everyday price, a number that could literally change everything we think about the laptop market. So that leads us to the two big questions, right? How in the world did Apple pull this off? A Mac for this cheap? And maybe even more important for you, what's the catch? What did you have to give up to get to that price? That's what this whole explainer is about. Okay, so to get why the Neo is such a big deal, you first gotta understand the battlefield it was designed for. This is way more than just a cheaper MacBook Air. Nope, this is a whole new game plan for Apple. You know, for as long as I can remember, the laptop world has been kind of split in two. You've got the premium stuff, $1,000 and up, where Macs and fancy PCs live, and then you've got the budget market, a few $100, totally dominated by Chromebooks. And for years, there's been this massive gap in between that Apple they just ignored it. Until now. And that's it. That's the mission. The whole reason the MacBook Neo even exists is to be Apple's weapon to finally storm that budget castle. They're trying to pull millions of new people, students, families, first-time buyers, into the world of macOS. All right, let's get to the juicy part. The most talked about, most controversial decision Apple made to hit that $599 price tag. It all comes down to the brain of the machine, the processor, and it's not at all what you would expect to find in a Mac. They did it. They put an iPhone chip inside a MacBook. The A18 Pro, to be exact, straight out of the iPhone 16 Pro. Now, here's why that's so clever. Apple makes tens of millions of these things already. The sheer scale just crushes the cost compared to making a special, low-volume M-series chip just for this Mac. So how does it actually stack up against, say, the original M1 chip? Well, this chart lays it all out. As you can see, the M1 definitely has more raw horsepower, more high-performance CPU cores, more GPU cores, but, and this is a huge but, look at the neural engine. The A18 Pros is a newer generation, which makes it way, way faster for AI stuff. So what does all that tech speak actually mean for you? Here's the bottom line. Using that iPhone chip makes the Neo cheaper, gives it amazing battery life, and turns it into an absolute beast for all the new on-device AI features. The flip side, for those really heavy, long-running tasks, think editing a big video file or professional coding, it's just not going to keep up with a Mac that has an M-series chip. Okay, so that's the chip. But a computer is so much more than its processor, right? What about the actual laptop, the part you touch and carry around every single day? This is where Apple really worked some magic. And this is the wild part. Even at this price, it doesn't feel like a budget laptop. Not at all. You get that same solid aluminum body you expect from Apple. You get a gorgeous Liquid Retina display that will blow away any Chromebook screen. And you get that insane battery life, plus the full, uncrippled macOS experience. But okay, now for the reality check. There are compromises, and you really need to know what they are. First and biggest, 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's it. And it is not upgradable. Ever. You also get just 2 USB-C ports, and they aren't the super fast Thunderbolt kind. There's no MagSafe charging, and it only supports one external monitor. Can we just stop and look at this number for a second? 16 hours. That is not a typo. This is probably the single biggest payoff for using that super efficient iPhone chip. It literally means you can go to class or to the office, and you could just leave the charger at home. For real. And I really want to hammer this point home because it's important. This isn't running some stripped-down macOS Lite or anything like that. You get the whole shebang, the full, unrestricted macOS Sequoia. And because of that powerful new neural engine from the iPhone, you get all the Apple Intelligence features, which is something even some older, more expensive Macs can't claim. So, with all the good and all the bad on the table, we get to the final question. Should you actually buy one? Let's break down exactly who this machine is perfect for and who should probably run in the other direction. Honestly, it's a pretty straightforward decision. Look, if you're a student, if you've never owned a Mac before, if you basically live in a web browser, or if you're just on a tight budget, this thing is an absolute home run. But if you're a video editor, a programmer, or just anyone who knows they need more than 8 gigs of RAM or super fast Thunderbolt ports, you gotta skip this This isn't the Mac for you. And this chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? The target here is crystal clear. It's overwhelmingly for students and people who are finally ready to switch to a Mac. Then you've got a slice for professionals who just need the basics, and families who want a great, reliable computer for the house. I think this quote from the source material just nails it. The true magic of the MacBook Neo isn't just that it's cheap. It's that Apple somehow figured out how to make it affordable without making it feel cheap. And that is a huge achievement. So here's the big takeaway. For the first time, a truly premium, modern Mac experience is actually within reach for the mass market. The compromises are real, for sure, but the potential is just massive. So the final question we're left with is this the Mac that finally takes a real bite out of the Chromebook universe? We're about to find out.